At 11 minutes past 2300 hours, Greenwich Mean Time on February 2, 1961, two brothers in Turin captured a transmission lasting approximately 30 seconds. The transmission contained three human voices, two male and one female, speaking in distress. They were speaking Russian. The signal came from above the horizon. 10 weeks later, Yuri Gagarin became the first human being officially launched into space. The Soviet Union has no record of the February transmission. The tape exists. This is the cold archive. The brothers were Achille and Giovanni Battista Judica-Cordiglia. In 1957, Achille was 24 and a medical student at the University of Turin. Giovanni Battista was 21 and studying engineering. Their father was a professor of forensic medicine. Their family home had an attic. The attic had a workbench, vacuum tubes, surplus military receivers, and increasingly elaborate wire antennas strung between the chimney pots. Both brothers had been licensed Italian radio amateurs since childhood. They were not hobbyists. They were trained operators with a working station and a habit of listening to frequencies most amateurs ignored. On October 4, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik. Within 24 hours, the Judica-Cordiglia brothers had copied its signal in Turin and recorded it onto reel-to-reel tape. Italian newspapers carried the story. La Stampa interviewed them. By the end of 1958, they were appearing on Italian state television as the country's most reliable trackers of the Soviet space program. They outgrew the attic. By 1960, they had moved the heavier equipment to a disused German wartime bunker outside Turin. They called the new station Torre Bert. It had concrete walls, low electromagnetic interference, and room for larger antennas. From Torre Bert, between 1960 and 1965, they recorded most of the Soviet space program. Most of it matches the historical record. 4 recordings do not. Recording 1, November 28, 1960. A labored breathing pattern approximately 40 seconds long on a frequency the brothers identified as consistent with Soviet space-to-ground voice channels. The breathing is rhythmic but irregular. To the brothers and to the Italian doctors they consulted, it sounded like a person under physical stress. There is no Soviet flight on record for that date that would carry a human breathing pattern. Recording 2, February 2, 1961, the famous one. 3 voices, 2 male and 1 female, speaking Russian in distress. The recording is roughly 30 seconds long. Gagarin's official flight is 10 weeks away.
From the Italian translation prepared by the Slavicist Vyacheslav Ivanov for the brothers, conditions growing worse. Why don't you answer? We are going slower. The world will never know about us.
The brothers published the transcript. Italian newspapers carried it. The Soviet press did not comment. No flight on the Soviet schedule corresponds to the date. Recording 3, May 17, 1961. 5 weeks after Gagarin. A female voice. The brothers published the transcript in the Italian news magazine Continente the following year.
From the May 17th transmission, come in, come in, come in, listen, listen, come in, come in, come in.
The voice fades. The transmission ends. There is no acknowledged Soviet female cosmonaut on any flight before Valentina Tereshkova's Vostok 6 in 1963. Recording 4, May 1962. The most cited and the most disputed. A female voice in Russian on a degraded audio channel reporting heat. Some translations render the phrase as, "I feel hot, I see a flame." The audio quality has been argued about for 60 years. 4 recordings. No matching Soviet flight on any of them. The brothers archived the tapes, kept their station running, and continued tracking Soviet missions through the mid-1960s. 3 serious hypotheses have been advanced to explain what is on the tapes. Each one fails at least one constraint. Hypothesis 1. The recordings document real Soviet space deaths that were covered up by the Soviet state. Plausible during the Cold War, when the Soviets systematically buried disasters and controlled their own narrative. The constraint that breaks it. After the Soviet archives opened in 1991, the records of every R-7 launch, every Vostok flight, and every cosmonaut were released. The records are detailed. No missing personnel.
Sergei Khrushchev, Nikita Khrushchev's son, a historian at Brown University, reviewed the released archives in the 1990s. His conclusion: there are no covered-up cosmonauts in the Soviet space program.
Hypothesis 2. The brothers fabricated the recordings. They were 2 young men with a flair for publicity and a working tape machine. They could have made the tapes themselves. The constraint that breaks it. The receivers existed and were inspected by Italian state radio engineers. The brothers were intercepting verifiable Soviet transmissions in parallel. Sputnik, the Korabl-Sputnik animal flights, Gagarin's own voice on April 12, 1961. And all of those were independently confirmed. Italian state radio consulted them on Soviet space coverage for 15 years. They were professionals. The hoax hypothesis does not survive contact with the rest of their work. Hypothesis 3. The recordings are authentic intercepts, but the brothers misidentified what they were intercepting. This is the current scholarly consensus. The American space historian James Oberg has advanced it across multiple books and articles since 1988.
Oberg's proposed explanations include Soviet R-7 booster telemetry on adjacent frequencies, Italian military intercepts of Black Sea naval traffic, amateur radio operators elsewhere in Europe being misread as orbital, and routine Korabl-Sputnik biological telemetry from animal flights.
For most of the brothers' archive, Oberg's framework is plausible and probably correct. The constraint it struggles with is the February 2nd, 1961 tape. The three-voice intelligibility in Russian, attributed to multiple speakers, does not pattern match any documented telemetry channel. There is a fourth possibility. The intercept is genuine and the transmitter is not Soviet. The trouble is that there is no documented candidate transmitter for a Russian-language orbital voice channel in February 1961 that is not Soviet. The fourth hypothesis has no positive case. It remains on the board only because each of the first three has at least one part of the record it cannot fully explain. So the recordings are real, the receivers are real, the brothers are credible, the Soviet archives are open, and the four tapes still do not match the historical record. Achille Judica-Cordiglia died in 2015 at the age of 82. Giovanni Battista died in 2022 at the age of 89. The tapes are archived in Turin. The Soviet records are fully open. The two records do not match. 65 years of intercepts, 4 contested recordings, no reconciled account. The tapes still play. Sunday's case. 252 million years ago, 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates went extinct in less than 30,000 years. The trigger has been debated for 100 years. Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern. See you then.